Welcome to the Embody Me podcast. I'm your host, Amber Fortier, a digital entrepreneur, embodiment coach, and manifestation expert. My mission is to help success-driven, ambitious women stand in their power, embody their inner CEO, and manifest the successful business of their dreams. This podcast provides you with thought-provoking conversation, manifestation techniques, and wellness tips to turn your spiritual practices into a lifestyle, discover your inner rich babe, and massively transform your business, brand presence, and bank account. Let's effortlessly manifest opportunities and embody the rich, the confident, and the wildly successful version of yourself. Press play to dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Embody Me podcast. Today, I have a very special guest who is going to be talking all about Feng Shui and how to design your space in a way that is going to help you manifest your desires. So, Krystal, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm excited to be here, Amber.
And I would love for you to give the audience a little bit of an introduction about yourself. Tell us, what do you do for work? What's your story? I want to know you.
Well, like you said, I'm a Feng Shui designer and a clutter expert, which there aren't a lot of us around, but I am a clutter expert. And I really help what I call soul-driven leaders to design their workspace, to declutter and design their workspace, really, so that it empowers them to create the life that they want. So it's something that I've kind of been doing for ever.
And let me ask you, what is the importance of having, I guess I can say, an optimized workspace that, really sets you up for success and abundance? Why is this so important for entrepreneurs to have this?
Well, we have a relationship with our space, right? We have a relationship with the space that we're in, and it really reflects what we believe about ourselves. So it's kind of the secret sauce, really, to being able to use your space almost like a 3D vision board to allow you to become that next level version of yourself. When you get energetically aligned with your space and you've decluttered out all of the limiting beliefs and, physical, mental, and emotional clutter, it really gives you this place to amplify your impact.
I love that. So for those of us who are completely cluttered, our offices are a fucking mess. What do we do? What are the steps? Like, tell me, how do I feng shui my office in my fucking life?
Well, I actually have my own proprietary method for how I take clients through this process, right? I call it the designed life method, right? Mind, body, soul, and home. And it's really about doing that exact thing, creating a space that will energetically boost you, right? It's the secret sauce. So there is a whole process, the mind, body, soul, home. So I start with always you have to start with sort of the decluttering of the space, right? You got to have a clean slate. So I always start with the decluttering part, and then building in for, it's what I call designing for who you are becoming, right? So I take people through this process. Design your evolution process is sort of what I call it. And then we do the feng shui to really get you energetically aligned with your space, right? You have an energetic frequency, and your home has an energetic frequency. And when they're out of alignment, it really creates this sort of chaos and this struggle in your life. So we want to make sure that you're in alignment and in the flow, so that energetically you are really getting the power and the benefit of your space, right? Your castle, your battery, your source, right? And then we just literally design it into your home. So it is a beautiful space that really reflects who you want to be seen as, like who you are becoming, so that it gives you room to become her.
I love that. So let's take it at the first step, right? The decluttering step.
Mhm.
It's so funny. I'm looking around in my office right now and I'm like, ooh, I've got some things to declutter. And of course, besides of the typical mess in the boxes and all of those kind of things, what are some other ways that, I know you mentioned decluttering with your limiting beliefs and,
Mhm.
these old versions of yourself. Can you, give us some more context on how we can declutter that?
I've actually got a whole 5-step process to it. Really, I call it declutter your mindset, and it takes you through this process of really digging into what is the story that your clutter is telling you. What is it trying to tell you about what you believe internally about what's possible? What you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do, all those things that are keeping you stuck.
And, with some of your clients, can you give us some examples of like some really interesting things that they have decluttered and, maybe the types of transformation that they've had, or, I guess how their energy, has shifted once they start to get rid of all the junk?
Sure. I have some fun stories really that, like, I had a client that came to me who she had a lot of clutter, right, in her office, right? She had a lot of clutter. She was kind of stepping over it, kind of trying to ignore it, like we all do, right? She was a really frustrated. She had a lot of struggles in her relationships, right? In her personal relationships, and she wasn't really bringing in as many clients as she wanted, right? So there was relationship there that she was really kind of stuck in. And we went through this process. I took her through the design life method. Um, and we aligned her space with her goals and her vision and the whole thing. And within like the very next month after we finished, she tripled her income. um,
Wow.
yeah, and she did that for the next 3 months, and keeping it, being able to maintain it for that long actually really gave her the confidence to know that, because she was still working part-time in her business and part-time in a job, right? But that gave her the confidence to know that she could fully make that shift and leave her job and go full-time into her business, which is a big step, right? That's a big
Yeah.
moment. And so she it's funny because she took that leap. She quit her job, she went full-time in her business, and a month after that, she actually, and it's funny, she actually didn't have an office at home. She was renting a space in a corporate complex, right? And it was kind of a smallish office. And the landlord came to her and said, a bigger company wanted to rent out the whole bank of suites, rooms that she was in, all the suites. So they wanted to move her over to this other side of the complex to where she was. And because it was them, right, and the whole thing, they weren't going to raise her rent at all. But her office was twice the size. So now she has tripled her income, and now she got a double office size and no rent increase, right? Yeah. So, and then she ended up, like, a few months after that, they ended up getting a new house. And like, so it just sort of snowballed the whole process of when you get into alignment, like energetically, and you get the clutter out. The clutter is what stagnates up all the energy. When you get all that clutter out, the flow that happens is just kind of incredible. But that's one of my favorite stories actually to tell, about clients.
Wow, I love that so much. And, I can totally resonate with that story because I recently just moved as well. And, being in my old space, I mean, for one, I was working from my kitchen table. So that was just not ideal. And now that I have my own office and I'm really like, every time I'm in here, I just look around and I just feel expansive. I have such good energy. And that energy reflects in the way that I make content, in the way that I show up online when I make videos, the way that I do everything really is magnified and intensified because I created a space that just feels abundant and just feels like, as you say, like as, the next version of myself. So I really, really love that.
Hmm. Yep, that is the power. That is the power of feng shui, really. Well, then when you do all of the math and all the calculations, you get all yourself energetically aligned, and yeah, there's no stopping you at that point. Mhm.
So, what are some questions that, you would ask someone when they are, they're ready to change their office, they're ready, they've already cleared the clutter, and now they're thinking, okay, who do I want to become and how can I, make a visual representation of that person in my space?
Well, that's a good question. That's not quite what I do. So it doesn't quite look like that. It's really more like a we look at who she is and what her life looks like. And
Mm,
we go through this process of, really breaking it. Most of us, when we visualize this big picture, but we don't break it down into micro pieces.
mm,
And what does that really look like, the way you live in your space, right? A lot of us don't think about how we live in our space. We just do this instinctive thing of, these pictures go here and this goes there and this is how we move. And so it's really this deeply evolved process that we dig into, like what are the big goals? What is the vision? What are we working towards? Most often I'm working with entrepreneurs as well. And now with the pandemic, it's my client base has sort of increased even to work from home folks, anybody with their office, and to really hone in on that space and really let them become that.
right. So can you give us like some examples? Once again, I love, using examples for this to help people to really visualize what the possibilities are. But, once again, do you have any examples of how your clients have transformed their space itself?
Sure. Well, well, mostly they get decluttered. Like I've had clients that once they go through the first step, even like just decluttering, going through the decluttering process, I've seen them take out 5 truckloads of clutter out of their space. Like literally 5 truckloads. I recently had a client that I'm working with now, even that within the first couple days had several carloads of clutter. And she had downsized from a bigger house to a smaller one. And so she had tons and tons of fabric,
Mm,
right? And she had owned a different business previously, and so she manufactured, or she made like costumes, so she had tons of fabric. So even being able to sort through, like, what is this new evolution of her business, herself, her, and be able to get rid of all of the unnecessary, the excess, so that someone else can have it and make use of it. And so yeah, going from looking like a hoarder. I hear that a lot from clients. A lot of people, when they first get to me, they're like, I look like a hoarder. And I'm like, okay, well, so to even go from that to this gorgeous office space where it just, you've got room for you've got
yeah.
room, to work and to film content and to, meditate or read or, do yoga. It depends on, what your needs are and what that is. So yeah, some of them are beautiful.
So when you work with your clients, you really help them to, I guess, figure out what kind of lifestyle you want to have and like how to, set yourself up to fit that lifestyle. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it's really about who is it? What is it? What is the lifestyle, and how do we make room for it? How do
Mhm.
we make room for you to have that life and to become the person that has that life? Yeah.
And what tips do
Mhm.
you have on, how do we make room for that?
Make room. Literally make room.
Literally.
Like if you want like, say you're single, right? If you were single and you wanted to bring in a partner, do you have room for that partner? Like, you need to empty out half your closet. If you want to have a person move in with you tomorrow, they need space. Like, you need drawers for them and closet space for them and half the bed for them. And like, if you're living in a twin bed with no closet space, like, you are not going to draw in a partner. It's not, you know what I mean? The same
Yeah.
is true for a business. If you want to start a business and you don't have one, the first thing to do is get yourself a desk. Like, make an office space, make room for it in your life. For me, when I started, it was, I really wanted a yoga practice. Mine was a healing journey that sort of started me on really developing my method, like fully embodying it. I had bits and pieces of it, but when it came full circle, for me, it was a healing thing. I had injured myself at work and I couldn't walk, and I was fighting with the insurance company to even try to get basic medical care. Um, and so for me, like, my goal was healing, and so I took the route of yoga to help me. And I made room. Like, I literally created a yoga studio out of my space so that I had room for it. I invested in myself. I invested in buying a yoga mat and, buying a bolster pillow. And I found a teacher, I found a mentorship to teach me what I needed. Those are all of the sort of pieces that you need to do to make room in your life for this person, right? I wanted to be a person that A, had a yoga practice, and B, could walk without a wheelchair. So that was my vision. That was my goal. But I had to invest in the process of creating the space for me to do the thing that would make me be that person.
Right. I love that. And, I really talk with my clients about like, we need to make it easy for ourselves and set ourselves up for success. Because as you say, if you want to start a yoga practice, but you don't have a yoga mat, like you got to start putting the steps together. You got to start taking the action and making it easy for yourself. And, if you want a business, but you don't have a laptop, you don't have a desk, you don't have, internet in your house, like these are basic things I'm sure most people have, but, you've got to get yourself the basics and start building that foundation. So I really love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so important. You have to make room for it in your life or it's never going to manifest.
Right, right. So when it comes to Feng Shui, I know there are a lot of, I took a Feng Shui, master class before, but I would love for you, to give us a little bit of, just to give us some background about, what it is perhaps.
Sure. Feng Shui is really the study of the flow of energy in your space, right? It's about 3,000 years old. It's several thousand years old. It's a study that they've been doing in China for centuries, about the flow of energy in your space and really getting yourself into alignment with that flow so that your house is not draining you. It's charging you. It's filling you up. And you can really use your house to see your results in the world, right? Because this is sort of, we're here for an abundant life. And this is like your little corner of the universe, right? This is it. Your home is your little corner of that. So when you really put in that attention, the time, energy, and attention into mastering your space, creating an environment that you absolutely love, that fully empowers you to be the best version of yourself, that is the goal of Feng Shui. It's really only been popular in Western culture since the mid 90s, where it was brought to our attention. And then, of course, tons and tons of misinformation out there, but when you get down to true traditional Feng Shui, yeah, the goal and the mission is to just create a space that empowers you to become the best version of you.
And how can we do that? What are some ways that we can Feng Shui our homes?
Well, technically decluttering is not a Feng Shui. I mean, it is and it's not, right? When they teach you Feng Shui is all math. It's literally just sitting down with your math calculations and running the numbers to sync you up with your energetic frequency, with the energetic frequency of your space. But to really get the flow of energy in your space, the best place to start is with the decluttering. Clutter really stagnates energy in your space. So to start with the decluttering of your space will shift a whole lot of things. It'll shift stuff if we don't ever even make any changes. And then you really want to just get into alignment energetically, on that level with the energetic frequency of your space. And last, I think the third thing that I would say is to really, everywhere you look, have it be something that you love, right? Have your space reflect nothing but love to you.
I love that so much. And so for this, Feng Shui calculator, is there a website, or like if we Google this, will we be able to find like how to energetically calculate how to Feng Shui your house?
Probably what you will find if you Google is a whole lot of misinformation out there. If someone really wanted to become an expert at Feng Shui, I would say go to school to learn how to do it, because it really is a process just like any other science. It'd be like me trying to teach you chemistry, right here. It's really hard to find good information out there, which is the sad thing, because it's so beneficial. And then there's just so much misinformation out there. But if you really wanted to, yeah, I would say find a school that teaches traditional Feng Shui, and study that. Otherwise, the best thing to do is to find a consultant that actually does traditional Feng Shui. not one that does any of the fake feng shui, because that's not going to help you. But the best thing there is really to start with knowing you're doing real feng shui and not the fake stuff.
And how can we tell the difference?
Well, if it's traditional feng shui, that's the real deal. If it's stuff like black hat or pyramid or any of these funky names that they give it, first off, that's a good sign. That is, it's not. If it's got some other funky name that's not traditional or classic, it's not the real deal. If it's someone's just, this is my own method that I developed for feng shui exclusively, like if it, I've seen some people doing that, that's a good sign. If there is signs like they're telling you to always do this thing, like always put a water feature in your office because it'll bring you money. Well, that's not necessarily accurate, right? It will depend on your energetic frequency and the energetic frequency of your home and what remedies are needed in there to get them into alignment. Because if you're throwing a water remedy in there and you already have an excess of that energy in your space, you're actually causing more harm than good. So if there's traditional feng shui will only have 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Those are the only 5 elements. If it says anything else for a remedy, it's fake feng shui. Throw the book away. It's not worth it. If it has those 5 remedies, that will be it. That will be the only remedies that there are. And there's not an exact one size fits all anything. So if you're seeing anything that's like one size fits all, or looks like put in a mirror or put in that is fake feng shui. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for these tips. And, do you have any other tips or words of wisdom that you would like to, give our audience today when it comes to decluttering your space or feng shui or any of the topics that we've mentioned on today?
Treat your space with love. Treat it like it's your best friend, because it really is. It's a reflection of you, and it's a reflection of your relationship with yourself. So the more you really develop that relationship with yourself or with your space, the more you will develop that relationship with yourself. So when it comes to like self-love and self-care, sometimes the easiest place to start is starting with your home, especially since as women, we mostly really suffer in that department with being good at self-care and self-love. And it's harder to get started. So yeah, start there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Krystal. And if anyone wants to connect with you online, get to know you more, how can we find you?
You can certainly find me on social media or on my website. And if you really want to connect with me, I have a free gift actually for your audience. It is my signature method, the Declutter Your Mindset method. And you can actually download that at declutteryourmindset.com. And that will put you in touch with me.
Awesome. And I will have the links to all of these things in the show notes for everyone listening. And once again, Krystal, thank you so much for joining us. For all of you listening, if you want to share your breakthrough moments or anything that you learned from this episode, please shout us out on social media. We would love to hear what you thought. I hope you enjoyed this juicy episode of the Embody Me podcast. If you love this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and share with the woman in your life who needs to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with all of our upcoming releases. I cannot wait to catch you in the next episode.